Hello everybody, my name is Basil and welcome to an Arknights new player's guide. Today we're gonna go over some 4-star characters, operators that you may want to focus on early game to get along with to help you out throughout your stories and events. Placed at spot number 10 we have Totter. He's a sniper besieger class, which means he can stand far away and attack a really wide area of enemies. However, he isn't particularly strong, so why would I recommend him even in the 10th spot? Fairly easy. He has a talent, Illuminating Eyes. He can attack invisible enemies, and if there are invisible enemies within range, he gains plus 20 or 23% extra damage. That is pretty strong. Now, are there always going to be invisible enemies? No, there aren't. Let's face it. But on the maps that there are invisible enemies, which are plenty of, especially early on in the missions and the stories and even some of the events, as well as the integrated strategies, that is where he will shine. At least to level him up, at least to have him as a backup for those maps, because sometimes you will struggle early on against those kinds of maps where there's a ton of invisible enemies. Hence, I recommend him as at least level him up for those niche situations. Placed number 9, I have Meteor. Meteor is a regular sniper marksman class character who excels at just attacking really fast. However, same deal for her as with Totter, she isn't exceedingly strong. However, why would I still use her? Because she's great. She has a focus on aerial targets, which allow her to take down all the drones in maps, but also her skill, her first skill, is the most important one for me personally because I don't have to think about it. It allows her to shred armor or shred defense. The next attack deals 150% of attack, physical damage, and target's defense is reduced by 30% for the next 5 seconds. So that is why I do recommend leveling her up, using her. I even have a module in here which is fairly useful if you just want to give her a little bit more of a power up, just to shred really tanky enemies early on in your games. And I also always take her in integrated systems because it is an offensive recovery skill, so characters like Arknights will help you if you're following that kind of strategy. Shred your enemies, shred your tanks, focus on drones. She can be really, really good. There is also, in plenty of early game maps and events, certain stealth drones that are very, very tanky. Taking them down with this is fairly easy. Hence, Meteor is my number 9 spot. Next, on number 8, is Deep Color. Now, aside from the fact that her name is written wrong, we will ignore that. She is a very interesting and curious character that I only have on this list for one big reason. Unless you like her, she is mainly useful for integrated strategies, especially until you get good enough characters to no longer have to use her. She's a supporter, and there aren't really many good supporters in the game that you'd want to take in integrated strategies, especially at the first stage or even later on. Hence, I usually end up skipping the supporter picks or just having them there as filler. They're never really that strong, and I do have some really strong supporters, do not get me wrong. However, Deep Color fills a good spot because she's not only a ranged attacker, but she also has a little squiddy boy, the Inklings, tentacles they say, that she can summon onto the board. Up to 4 of them, or maybe even 3 of them if you don't have her fully leveled up. Either way, you get a lot of them, and they act as blockers. They can block an exact one enemy, and you can fill up the board fairly quickly with them, especially on integrated strategies where she might be your first pick. She might be in your first 3, and you can pick her up and have 4 characters on the board with ease, just with her. You have a blocker along with a ranged attacker through her. And her skill does increase the defense and attack, as well as recover HP on those little dudes, so they can be really nasty and help you out, especially throughout the first, even throughout the second level or floors of integrated strategy maps. Hence, I do recommend you try her out, give her some chance and use her for integrated strategies at least. Therefore, she's my number 8 spot. Next, on number 7, we have Shaw. Shaw is a great operator, and you will be asked to basically use her early on in the game anyways, because a lot of early game stages do want you to push and shove, and there aren't very many good push stroker class characters in the game that you can access early on, especially for 4 stars. So, why Shaw? Well, she costs very little, has pretty good resistance, so she can survive a little bit, and honestly, any push stroker will do the job here. However, again, as a 4-star, she is really useful, and she can push enemies into holes, clearing them altogether. In fact, there was just an event where there was a pirate boss, and you could push him inside of a hole and deal with him. No stage 2, just push him in the hole. It does take some amount of setup, but it is doable. So, Shaw is really good for some of that cheese. However, outside of those cheesy missions, she does fall a little bit short, but still, for those specific niche missions, she is really, really powerful. Do not underestimate her. Hence, she is my number 7 spot. On number 6, we have Gummy. She's the Defender and a defense healing Guardian. She is really, really good, okay? I underestimated her a lot early on, but her abilities and her stats are fairly decent. She doesn't have the highest defense, okay? Let's face it. However, her first skill restores the HP of a nearby ally, which is all the way around her, by 130% of her attack in the next attack, and she can even hold charges, meaning she can be a self-healing tank on her own, which is honestly already really good because you don't need a healer to heal her, but she's also amazing because she can act as a healer. Place her down, protect your ranged units that are maybe set up right next to her, and she can do all of that. She's really good at all of those things. She's also one of my usual best picks for the Defender class in an integrated strategies run, because there is almost no other unit that can perform both of these roles. Again, she's a 2-in-1 kit. Hence, she's my number 6 spot. On number 5, we have Kora. I absolutely adore her defense stat. Let's face it, she has one of the highest defense, if not even one of the top 3 defense in the entire game, making her an insane tank. Yes, she doesn't have the HP to bulk it up, but the defense definitely cares for it. And if you place a healer next to her, she does fairly well as well. She's basically never gonna budge, okay? Even some of the 6 stars that I have do not reach her defense stat. Her defense stat is insane. Obviously, I've boosted her fully maxed up with her module, so that is even more defense. But you don't need that. Even her talents and traits and everything give her extra defense, which is insane. And she blocks 3 enemies. And her skill 1 even give her more defense. You can even use the other ability to heal her up. But honestly, I've not yet had to use it. So I just usually pick up this one. But honestly, whatever floats your boat. She's honestly so tanky that it doesn't even matter most of the time. You plop her down and she's not going to budge. She's amazing for that reason. I almost feel like I don't even need to talk too much more about her because she is just the tank. If you need a tank, it's her. She is the tank. Moving on to Gravel. She is an interesting pick on her number 4 spot. Why would I pick her? Well, she has a really fast redeploy time, very low deployment cost, and why would I pick her? She's in no way particularly powerful, she's in no way particularly tanky or bulky or anything, so why would you use her? Because she can be in and out within seconds. Her ability to just go in and even have even more significantly reduced deployment time and even less DP cost, and everything else gets more defensive, and her skills to just give her a shield as well. She is basically your staller. Do you need to stall a couple of seconds time before a boss moves into a certain zone or before an enemy overloads your battlefield because you don't have enough blockers on the board yet. Use her. Plop her down for like 6 DP. Have her guard that at least for like 5 to 10 seconds, because that's about the time that you get, and that is more than enough time usually to set up something else. And guess what? You can take her off the board and redeploy her within the next few seconds. She is amazing for that reason. And she's also really great in a specific quest mission, the other version of the integrated strategies, where she can pick up additional resources from that board and then retreat and be placed down again, pick up more resources. So that makes her fairly good, particularly in that mode. But even in regular gameplay, she is really good just to stall a couple of extra seconds, and hence she is my number 4 pick. At number 3, I know, I've talked about him quite a few times, it's Ethan. He's a specialist ambusher class, which means he doesn't block. However, enemies will have to get past him. He attacks in a full AoE around him, slowing down and binding all the enemies around him, which is already amazing, but also having a passive that deals more arts damage, which is useful for certain enemies. He can crowd control entire waves so that you can even have weak mages and snipers in the background, because it doesn't matter. The enemies will have to take at least double the steps to get past him, so why not? You can deal with it. He compensates a weak team by slowing down the enemy waves, and that is the exact strength that he has, and he's an amazing pickup. Use him especially for integrated strategies again, because there aren't many specialists that you may want to pick that would fill a good role, especially until you get good other chars. Hence, he is my number 3 and my top 3 spot out of a 4-star that you want to pick up and focus on. Oh dear, number 2. And before you guys say anything, yes, this isn't fully meta. I'm not going through this on pure tier-based ideas, okay? Tiers don't matter when you're just starting out, and when you're just trying to beat certain maps, and when you're just trying to have some fun and variety and get past certain niches as well. Realistically though, I'll say it now, Myrtle is probably the best out of this entire list, and she should realistically be at the first spot. But I don't care about tiers. This isn't about tiers. This is about what I believe might be the most useful things you want to use. So, Myrtle is obviously the best DP generator in the entire game, without a question. She stands there in a corner, never attacking, never really defending, just generating DP. She is your battery. She doesn't need much more investment. You could honestly just leave her never to really be leveled up, because honestly, even that way she'd be really useful. Like, get her up to E1 and just skill up her skill and you'll be fine and golden, honestly. But at full power, she can just sit there and generate DP, and you'll never run out of DP. She's great. I think she is the most recommended character you'll ever find on the internet for Arknights specifically, because she is busted. She is definitely the best DP generator in this game, without a doubt. So if that is all you want, then that is definitely what you want to level up first. I personally don't like it, because I don't like the fact that she's that overused. However, this isn't about me specifically, this is about what might be best for you. Hence, yes, she's my number 2, but probably your number 1. At number 1, we have Perfumer. I know, biased. I just really think her skill is game-breaking. She is a multi-target medic, and her talent is just broken. She heals 7% plus 0.5% of her own attack each second globally. It's insane. What does that account for? Who did the math? At full level and her module, she can reach a full whopping 28 HP per second. That is insane. Globally healed. You can place her down wherever you want on the map, and honestly, nothing will ever have to worry about their HP anymore. Yes, she can multi-target heal, but global healing is OP. So OP. And it really is important for certain maps, like the red certificate maps, where there's AoE global damage coming down on you, and this honestly out-heals that. Now you're probably thinking, why did I not upgrade the skill here another time? Because apparently I forgot, but at max level, I did the maths. She would heal a whole 65 HP per second globally. That is huge. That is insanely huge. And as I said, her talent is broken because it literally does stuff that it shouldn't be doing. A lot of operators in this game specifically say cannot be healed by allies. Now, this talent gets around that. She can heal a Mudrock. She can heal a lot of the Reaper guards. She can heal even further operators that usually cannot be healed, because her talent ignores that. It doesn't count as a healing action. It counts as its own thing, apparently, which is weird. Thus, she is personally my favorite healer within the game, and I say that with a lot of other good characters around. But she definitely has a game-breaking skill that allows so many shenanigans to happen that all the other operators just can't cope with. And that is why I personally believe that you should focus on Perfumer if you can. You will never need another healer until you get something really broken, but even then, I still use her over some of the 6-star healers in the game because of her game-breaking talent. However, with that, I wish you all a good day, and I hope you'll have a lot of fun playing Arknights. Take care, and bye-bye.